Welcome to the Sunday morning simulcast with Rom Wills. When you hit the bottom, there's no place to go but up. I'm gonna tell you what. And that's been a philosophy of mine for a very long time. Yeah, for a very long time. When you initially mispronounce a word, there's no place to go but to pronounce it correctly. So, anyway, right? There's no place to go but up. In fact, one of my first main fiction novel was called Starting from Zero, and I've always had that philosophy. No matter what, you got to start from zero, because in starting from zero, the main character really starts at what he considers a good place, but he goes all the way down to zero. In fact, even with my chapters in the book, I started at chapter 24 and then count down to zero. And that's a philosophy I've always had in life, because that's all of us. All of us go to a 0 point. There's no shame in it. You on this planet, you can't walk on water. Unless you can walk on water, you've had a point where it seems like everything is gone. And it could be different things for different people. Like in my book, Starting from Zero, and I'll put a link for it in the description box. I'll put a link for it. One of the things with it is the character didn't get involved in drugs or anything. He just went to zero. So it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be having a bad relationship. It could be losing a job. I remember there was a point, I live in a very nice place now, but I remember there was a point when I was living in a friend's basement with a pregnant wife and a toddler. I didn't have much. And then even growing from that, I remember when I had to start working again. Long story, and y'all know I had 1,000 jobs, but I remember all I had was one t-shirt. I had to come home and wash that joint for the next day. Yeah, it was bad, but it was zero. Now I got more clothes than I know what to do with. But I remember those times. But I remember I didn't stay there. See, once you hit the bottom, you have no place else to go but up. Where you gonna go? You gonna wallow in the bottom? And unfortunately, a lot of people do that. But once everything has been taken from you, once you've hit bottom, however you consider it, you have no place to go but up. Okay, you've hit bottom. Okay, where are you going to go from there? I'll use myself for an example. Now, people know I've had no problem sharing that I had a stroke back in October. I had no problem sharing that. But the thing was, did I let it get me down? Because Rom couldn't walk. Rom couldn't use the bathroom on his own. The thing is, I got to a point where I could walk. When I was at the rehab center, I would start off, I was in a wheelchair at first. I would just walk, I would just use my feet just to propel me along the hallways. And then, when I had a walker, I would just take my time and walk the whole place. But I started from zero, I started from zero. Shoot, money-wise, a lot of people been there. Hopefully everybody hasn't been there, but a lot of people been there where they didn't have a job, they didn't have money, that they might have been homeless, that they might have been sleeping on the ground. But then some of those same people have risen to the point they will be in nice homes and stuff. That was zero for them. That was the bottom. When you hit the bottom, I don't care who you are. I don't care where you at. I don't care what situation that you might have been in. You have no place to go but up. So when you hit bottom and you look around, you're like, damn, I'm at the bottom. Okay, I gotta climb up. When you've been thrown in that hole or you fall into that hole, you have no place to go but up. And you gotta have that attitude. You gotta have that attitude, because one of the things in life, we're gonna have peaks and valleys. All of us are gonna have peaks and valleys. And I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in other people's lives. I've seen people who, they might feel like nothing's going right for them and everything. All of a sudden, they make that move and they move up. They move up. And that's the important thing. And I've seen people who accepted, you know what, I'm at bottom. Because when you at bottom, that's even sometimes that could be a very, regardless of your spiritual path, a very spiritual thing. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because maybe you hitting bottom, maybe you got rid of everything that was holding you back. Maybe you had to look at different attitudes, different ways you were doing things. Maybe people. You might have to look at the people that you've been around. You might have to say, you know what, I need to leave all of them behind. I need to leave that lifestyle I was living behind. Because a lot of people hit bottom because they were living a negative lifestyle. They might have been using drugs or abusing something. You know, might have been in an abusive relationship, something. You know, the job, they weren't able to get the jobs that they needed to get. You know, it could have been some abuse on the jobs too. When you leave that and you have nothing to do but grow. You have not, seriously, if you're at the bottom, you have nothing to do but go up. I want y'all to really think about that because we all go through it. Anybody who says they haven't gone through something, maybe you might not have hit like rock bottom, but you might have come awfully close. And we've all gone through something where we might not be doing as well as we think we are. And that could be bottom for many people. You have no place to go but up. Because the first thing you do is, okay, you're at the bottom. How did you get there? What did you do? What lesson did you learn? And that's, like I say, that's a spiritual thing. You might have learned a lesson. You might have needed to learn a lesson. Then you can move up. Like in my book, Starting from Zero, check it out if you get a chance. You know, some people, hey, the main character had to learn a spiritual lesson. So he moved up. He started moving up. Because one of the things is, once you learn that lesson, one of the things I found, and this is times I've hit bottom and I learned that lesson. Once you really start moving up, everything you touch will turn to gold. Especially when you leave some things behind you. You just gotta see, that's the thing. Because if you hit bottom and then you go back to doing what you were doing, hey, you might rise up a little bit, but you'll hit bottom again. Because that was the weight holding you down. So what you have to do is you have to figure out, okay, well, how did I get to the bottom? That's the first thing. All right, I can't do that anymore. Let me start rising. Let me walk a different path. Let me look at different things. You know, if you look at a lot of successful people in life, they can always tell when they were at bottom. They can always tell you when they were like, maybe they didn't have a home, you know. They might have been sleeping in their vehicles or something, but they just made a change and all of a sudden they just rose. They just rose. Every single one of you can do that. Don't think of you at bottom if you don't think you can. I don't care who you are, because you have talent. Every single one of you have gifts and talents that you need to use. So maybe that was the thing that got you to the bottom. You weren't using your gifts and talents. Maybe it's time that you start doing so. So that's the thing. When you hit the bottom, there's no place to go but up. No place. I want y'all to always remember that. All right? Always remember that. Check out my book, Starting from Zero. That's the major theme of that book, starting from zero. All right? So keep rising, everyone. And indeed, hold up before I go. That's why I always say that. No matter what, you got to keep rising. Don't stay. I don't care where you at. Even if it looks good, what you got is good and you're comfortable, you can always do better. I don't care what it is in all aspects of your life. So that's why I always say keep rising. So you know what? Keep rising, everyone. Peace and blessings.